I am back in studio after my trip to Pittsburgh this weekend, and today I've got my week 2 winners and losers from Steelers training camp practice in Latrobe. I've got 15 winners and 5 losers to break down with you guys on today's edition of Steelers Talk. But before we get into it today, if you want to go follow me on X for live practice updates, again, the Steelers back tomorrow morning in pads. Potentially Russell Wilson will be fully cleared to be a full participant in practice tomorrow. This week's going to tell us a lot, guys. I'm telling you right now, this week is really going to tell us what Mike Tomlin is thinking in terms of this quarterback competition. So if you want every update here, make sure you go follow me at Jack_Sperry on X. Greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. So let's start with the first winner here. And I thought the biggest winner of the week was quarterback Justin Fields. Now, I've been branded as a Justin Fields hater, but I'm telling you guys right now, from the bottom of my heart, that's just not the case. If you guys remember back when we were still having the Kenny Pickett discussions, I was advocating for the Steelers to get a guy like this because I love his skill set, and he really showed that skill set this week in Latrobe, okay? I think that he has done a really good job at showing those flashes with his physical ability. He still has elite arm talent and rushing ability that has been put on full display this week, and I think the biggest thing that really stood out to me this week in practice was his precision in the intermediate pass game. That was something that Justin really struggled in Chicago, but honestly, I'm not even sure if he missed an intermediate throw that he attempted this week. He was that good, and he does look like a legitimate NFL starting quarterback in practice, live in the flesh there. And I do think that he is really applying pressure to Russ with the way that he played this week. He did absolutely fantastic stuff, man, this week in practice. And I do think that he is capable of being the Steelers starting quarterback, especially if Russell Wilson struggles either in training camp or to start this season this year. And I do believe that the Steelers have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks right now. And I think something that's really apparent when you go on Steelers Twitter, when you go online, whatever the case may be, it is very apparent to me right now that Fields Mania is here, and Justin Fields has captured the hearts and minds of a lot of Steelers Nation right now, and it's even gotten to the point where a lot of Steelers fans are like, I want Justin Fields to start at QB1 week 1, even though we haven't even seen Russell Wilson play a snap in 11-on-11s in practice. It's already developed that quickly. Now, for me personally, I still want to see what Russ can do before I make my official decision, but I do think that Justin Fields should be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers if either A, Fields is clearly better than Russell Wilson in camp this year. If Russ struggles, Fields plays well, then I want Fields to start. Or B, Russ starts the season as the starter and he struggles early, leading to a slow start in terms of wins and losses. The team is struggling. Then I think that you should go to Justin Fields as well. One of those 2 scenarios, perfectly on board with going with Justin Fields. I love his skill set. I'm not a hater of Justin Fields, guys. I've been a big fan of his ever since he came into the league. You guys can check my record on that. I've been a big Justin Fields fan his entire career. So for anybody out there saying I'm a hater because I think Russell Wilson should be given a fair shot to be this team's QB1 for week 1 this year, you guys can, I guess, can believe what you want, but that's just untrue. So go ahead and tell me right now, who's going to be the week 1 starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will it be Russell Wilson, type RW, or do you think Justin Fields sweeps this job from underneath Russell Wilson's feet, type JF for Fields? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know who you think is going to be QB1 week 1 versus the Falcons. Then we get to some of the other winners here. Jaylen Warren had a really good week. He's definitely showing that his skill set is perfect for Arthur Smith's outside zone running scheme. He had a lot of big runs this week, runs with great intensity, fantastic pass protection player as well on third downs. This guy's the entire package. I think he's going to be the most valuable offensive player on the Steelers offense this year. Then we get to George Pickens, who is actually being used by offensive coordinator Arthur Smith heavily, especially in the red zone. When it's goal line situations, 7 shots, whatever the case may be, Arthur Smith is making sure George Pickens is the main read on those concepts, and he's going to be heavily featured as the number 1 wide receiver on this football team this year. That much is very apparent. He has a great connection with Justin Fields, and you guys can just see that chemistry build every single day in Latrobe. It's really a great sight to see. I think George Pickens is going to have a phenomenal season in this first year with Arthur Smith calling the plays. Then we get to Van Jefferson, who has kind of established himself as the number 2 wide receiver for the Steelers as of right now. I think that he had a really, really good week at practice this week, and he has been consistent throughout camp. That 4.39 speed, it's showing up with him getting open consistently. He's getting touchdowns. He's got good chemistry with Justin Fields, and he also is a very good run blocker as well. So I think this is somebody that can absolutely surprise some people around the league because he hasn't been very productive the last 2 years. Lots of people are sleeping on Van Jefferson, but in my opinion, he is the number 2 receiver on the Steelers roster right now with Roman Wilson dealing with an ankle injury. Calvin Austin III has also looked good, but maybe not quite as good as Van Jefferson this past week. Another winner on the offensive side of the ball, Connor Hayward. I think he's definitely going to make the team. I think that he's very versatile. He can be used as a fullback. He can be used as kind of a receiving weapon at tight end. He gets open. He makes tough catches. He has really solid hands. I think Connor Hayward is a very, very valuable player to this offense. And with all the versatile heavy sets that Arthur Smith is going to want to run, I think he's going to have a very prominent role in the offense this year. Then some good news for the first-round rookie Troy Fautanu. He had a really good week at right tackle, and honestly, I thought he played better than Broderick Jones, who kind of had a rough week. He's dealing with an elbow injury, but Fautanu came in, played right tackle, lots of first-team reps on the right side. He's going up against guys like T.J. Watt, Nick Herbig, and he is holding his own. He's looking pretty darn good, and he might be in the running to start week 1 if he continues to look better than Broderick Jones. Also, another rookie that has looked good, Zach Frazier, had a kind of rough start to camp. I thought Nate Herbig was looking better, but now Frazier, he had some really great run reps, man, pancaking people, and then he's handling the bull rush a lot better. So I think that Frazier, especially on Sunday's practice, played particularly well, and I think that he is well on his way to showing why the Steelers were so bullish on him, drafting him in the second round of this year's NFL draft. We mentioned Arthur Smith and his scheme quite a bit already on today's show, but he's a big winner for me just because the offense looks so much better than it did last year under Matt Canada, and it's very apparent. Arthur Smith knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to run a professional football offense, and that's something we haven't had in Pittsburgh in a very long time. I think Arthur Smith is the perfect match for Mike Tomlin, a defensive head coach. Arthur Smith, being a former failed head coach, is going to be less likely to be poached by some of these NFL teams around the league, and I definitely think his mentality, his approach to offense fits what Mike Tomlin wants, and he knows what he's doing, which is something the Steelers desperately need. So coming up here on Steelers Talk, some defensive winners, and then I've got 5 losers from Steelers training camp this past week that I want to discuss on today's show. But before we get into those, I want to have a word from our sponsor here at GameTime, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, right on the app, and their lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to whatever event you choose. Guys, I'm somebody that loves to get tickets last minute. Coop knows it. My girlfriend Cassie knows it. Whether I'm going to a baseball game, a basketball game, a football game, or a concert, whatever the case may be, I like to get tickets kind of spur of the moment kind of deal. And GameTime actually rewards me for that by these flash deals that they have on the app that actually drive down prices the longer you wait to the start of your event. And what I love about GameTime and their app is that you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. That includes theater, that includes comedy shows, that includes all sporting events. If you can buy tickets to something, GameTime's going to have it. They have all-in pricing on their app so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout, and flash deals like I mentioned before so you can get even cheaper tickets the longer you wait to the start of the event. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime today. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code ChatSports. That's one word, all caps, ChatSports. It's right down there in the bottom right of your screen right now for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Another winner from week 2, Beanie Bishop Jr. I thought that he had a phenomenal week once again. Of course, he made our week 1 winners list, and he makes the list yet again. He has been unbelievable. When I was in Latrobe this weekend, guys, he got an incredible interception picking off a screen thrown by Justin Fields. He corralled it with one arm, and then he took it into the end zone for a pick 6. This guy is the real deal. He is shifty. He's got great instincts. He has really good ball skills. He's holding up with these number 1 receivers in the slot. This guy is your starting slot cornerback this year. He is looking phenomenal. Another guy that looked really good also in the slot is Jaylen Warren. Now, he's dealt with a little bit of an injury this week, but he had multiple interceptions. He's getting after the football. I thought he had a pretty decent season last year, and if you're looking for a backup slot cornerback to Beanie Bishop Jr., I think Jaylen Warren is probably your guy. Then we get to Corey Trice Jr., who's been playing a lot of dime backer for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, kind of roaming around that big body with the long arms. He is the first team dime backer for the Steelers right now, and that is definitely encouraging in terms of the Steelers' plan for Trice this season. He might be a backup outside cornerback to just in case Joey Porter Jr. or Dante Jackson, God forbid, gets hurt, but then his role is going to be as a special teamer and then as a dime backer for the Pittsburgh Steelers on defense this year. And with his skill set, with his speed, with his long arms, with his physicality, I really like that role for number 27. Then we get to Nick Herbig, the edge rusher, who is always in the backfield. He beat Broderick Jones like a drum this past week, man, beating him time and time again. He's winning in a lot of different ways. He's probably the best rotational third edge rusher in the National Football League, and offenses are not going to be able to get a break with Nick Herbig coming off the edge. Marcus Golden, who was signed earlier this week, also was phenomenal, especially in run defense. This guy he was great last year in that rotational role that he played. He's a phenomenal run defender. He came in and he looked like the pro that he was this week. Julius Welshoff, an undrafted free agent out of Michigan State, also had a really good week. Probably not going to make the final roster this year, but against the second-team offense, he got a lot of pressures, especially during the Friday Night Lights practice, and he might be a candidate to potentially be a practice squad player if he continues his good start to camp. Then DeMarvin Leal, he made our first winners list of this training camp. He's going to be on here again because I'm really impressed with how this young man has come into this camp. His motor runs super hot, which is something we haven't been able to say in years past. He's highly conditioned. You can tell he's put in the work this offseason. I think he's ready to be a legit player in the National Football League. Here in just a second, I got my list of 5 losers. Make sure you guys go click that subscribe button right now. We got daily videos. We got weekly live shows. We got our watch parties for the preseason coming up here soon, and it's all 100% free, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now. So let's get to the losers here, and this might surprise some people, but yes, I have Russell Wilson on my week 2 losers list, okay? And it's not necessarily because Russ had a bad week, right? He's playing in 7-on-7s. He's doing all the individual work. He looks fine, in 7-on-7s. He's efficient, all that stuff. But when it comes to Russell Wilson, man, the reason why he is a loser is because Justin Fields had such a good week, and so many people are in the Justin Fields camp now because of the opportunity that Russ's calf injury has allotted to the younger quarterback in Justin Fields. And listen, Russ should be fully cleared this upcoming week to practice, whether it be Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe Thursday. The expectation is at some point this week, Russ will be back as a full participant. And the big question is going to be, what is Mike Tomlin going to do with the reps? Is he going to go 50-50 with Russ and Fields? Is he going to give Russ all the first-team reps like he had in OTAs? It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens moving forward. But kind of alluded to this earlier in the show here, but the reason why I can't declare Justin Fields as the quarterback 1 of this football team, at least not yet, is because Russell Wilson has pole position. Mike Tomlin confirmed that just a couple of days ago. And I think that we need to see him in that comparison with the 11-on-11 drills to really make sure that Fields is the better option. If Russ goes out there and plays well, then I think that Russ is probably going to get the job. Again, Tomlin continues to say that Russ remains in pole position, meaning that it's his job to lose. He got nearly all the first-team reps in OTAs and in 7-on-7s this week, so in the period that he was playing, he was the first-team quarterback still. And then also, if the Steelers felt like Russ's job was in danger, why be as careful as they were with his calf injury? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If they feel like Russ is competing for a starting quarterback job right now, why keep him out for 2 weeks and have his competitor get all the first-team reps for 2 whole weeks? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So think of it this way, guys. With Russ in pole position, this is how I think everything plays out. If Russ plays well, no matter what, he is the starter week 1. Okay, we'll see, and then, you get to the season. If he struggles, then Fields comes in, all that stuff. But I think the only way Fields wins the starting job week 1 is if Russ goes out there, struggles, and Fields is clearly the better quarterback heading into this season. And of course, if Russ and Fields struggle, well, then this football team is in deep shit because you don't have a quarterback, right? So that's the way it breaks down for me right now. And I do think that this week is going to give us some answers. Okay, you got Russ, you got Fields. They're going to probably both be full participants. It's going to be interesting to see how Mike Tomlin divvies up those first-team reps and how he divvies up the playing time in this week's preseason game Friday night against the Houston Texans. But I will say this, Justin Fields is definitely applying the pressure with his elite skill set, his size, his ability to rush the football. Russell Wilson better be ready to come out and show that he can be this team's QB1 and lead this team to a very successful season. If he can't prove that, Justin Fields will be your starting quarterback this year. Finish up with some losers here. Broderick Jones has an elbow brace on. He's dealing with an elbow injury. It's definitely affecting his play. He's looking worse than both Dan Moore Jr. and Troy Fautano right now. I hope that he can get healthy so that things can get going for him. But it was definitely a tough week for the former first-round pick tackle heading into the week. It was definitely not pretty for 77. Then we get to Kyle Allen, who had a good first week, but then he threw multiple interceptions at the goal line this week. He was just not very sharp overall, and that's with the second-team offense going up against the second-team defense. I definitely think Justin Fields clearly outperformed Kyle Allen this week, and that was going up against the first-team defense. Roman Wilson, of course, got injured, so he's going to make this list here. He's going to be week to week, and the reason why specifically Roman is making the losers list is because he's missing out on very valuable time because he's now week to week with that ankle injury. He's going to be out for most of camp, and his opportunity to prove himself and show that he is ready to be a starting caliber receiver in this league is pretty much gone. So he's probably going to start this season as a rotational player to start, but he should be ready to go for week 1. I do think he's going to have an immediate rotational role in this wide receiver room. This team clearly believes in him, and I do think he is still a bright future here. Then we get to Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Minkah told media today that sometimes he goes too hard in practice, and Mike Tomlin has to kind of rein him in a little bit, and that's why he's been missing some practices. But even when he's been in practice, man, he's been pretty quiet as of late. So I'm really hoping that he's not injured, that he's all right, that he's he's in good shape physically. Just because I'm not too worried about it because it's Minkah. He F's shit up, man. That's what he does. So I think that he's going to be okay in the end. But it is something to monitor here because he has had a pretty quiet camp to this point. So let me know down there in the comments section which players have impressed you the most in camp so far. Is it Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Van Jefferson? Which guys have impressed you the most? Let me know down there in the comments section. And again, for live practice updates starting tomorrow morning. Again, this week is going to be big for the quarterback competition and how we view it moving forward. You can find me at Jack_Sperry and then also on Instagram and TikTok at SpareDog.football. Appreciate all of the support, guys. I will talk to you guys later. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.